Hello, hello. Whoa, hey, hey, whoa. Wait, hold on. We got two of you on screen.
Oh, that's weird.
Oops. Okay, there we go. All better.
Oh, I was like, I don't know what to do about that.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about this book that I read called In the Event of Love. Um, and it's very Hallmarky, Hallmark esque, I guess would be the correct word. So, um,
Hallmark for
so as you can see, I listen. I know that everyone says don't judge a book by its cover,
I judge by the cover.
but also if you look at the cover, it there's a lot here. I mean, first of all, we can automatically tell that it's gay,
Great, always a plus.
but also I just feel like I feel like in the way that there are like movie tropes and like you know like book tropes, I feel like there are like cover art tropes, right? Like the
Mm.
shirtless muscle bound man on
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a fantasy novel, like a old fantasy cover that's like Conan the Barbarian esque, right?
yeah, yeah,
Like, and I feel like this sort of art has become very common for this type of book that is like romance, a little spicy, like, you know, whatever, like it's still kind of cutesy, but like this whole vibe, right, is very this
yeah.
art style is very in keeping with this vibe of a book.
Yeah.
So this is the summary that is on the back of the book. Um, with her career as a Los Angeles event planner imploding after a tabloid blowup, Morgan Ross isn't headed home for the holidays so much as in strategic retreat. Breathtaking mountain vistas, quirky townsfolk, and charming small businesses aside, her hometown of Fern Falls is built of one heartbreak on top of another. Take her one time best friend turned crush, Rachel Reed. The memory of their perfect, doomed first kiss is still fresh as new fallen snow. Way fresher than
Ew.
the freezing mud Morgan ends up sprawled in on her very first day back, only to be hauled out via Rachel's sexy new lumberjane muscles acquired from running her family's tree farm.
Ew.
When Morgan discovers that the Reed's struggling tree farm is the only thing standing between Fern Falls and corporate greed destroying the whole town's livelihood, she decides she can put heartbreak aside to save the farm by planning her best fundraiser yet. She has all the inspiration for a spectacular event: delicious vanilla lattes, acoustic guitars under majestic pines, a cozy barn surrounded by brilliant stars. But she and Rachel will absolutely not have a heartwarming holiday happy ending. That would be as unprofessional as it is unlikely, right?
Sure, 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 sure.
So this it's very funny. So this book starts the way that a lot of like Hallmark Christmas movie kind of things start, with Morgan in the big city of Los Angeles. We do get an actual like specifically named city in this one. Um and she works as an event planner. And she the the very first scene in the book is she is out at a bar with her friend that her coworker. Um and she gets a little drunk and they start dancing, and then this man's comes up and starts like dancing with her, and then they start making out. And it turns out that this man's is actually the groom for a wedding that she is currently helping plan with her company.
Damn, that's crazy.
So then, like, it's this whole huge, like, crazy social media scandal um, of, like, her. And, like, the bride very much frames it as like it's her fault. It's like it's Morgan's fault that like she did it on purpose, or like, you know, she like betrayed her or whatever, even though they've met all of one time. Um and she absolutely did not know who this man was before everyone else knew who this man was, because he was wearing like sunglasses and like a hat that was like covering most of his face.
How very Clark Kent.
Right?
You don't know who that man is because he's wearing glasses.
But so she this whole thing like implodes. It's a big scandal. Um she gets an email from a cafe in her hometown, Fern Falls, asking her to come help plan an event for the Christmas season. That's like supposed to be like a charity event. But it's very vague as to like what the charity is, what's happening, like what, it's very vague. And her boss, rather, like, her boss is like, I'm not gonna fire you, but like take December off. Like, just don't work. Also because like you are very clearly overworking yourself and you need to chill. And so she's like go home for the holidays, you know, like relax, whatever. And Morgan's like, okay, what if I go home for the holidays and I plan a charity event? And then that's like good press, right? And so it's all good. And she's like, listen, her boss is like, all right, you can do this, but you have to also be relaxing. Okay, like I want pictures of you like just vegging out, and like I need proof that you are actually taking time to relax and enjoy yourself.
No, not at all.
But so she ends up going back to Fern Falls. And immediately horrible situations because she has apparently completely forgotten how to drive in the snow. She also apparently did not bother to put chains on her tires, which, if you're from an area that doesn't have snow, like Los Angeles, you have to put chains on your tires to help with the traction so that you don't like skid all over the place or like, you know, whatever.
Okay.
So she didn't put chains on her tires. And she has apparently forgotten how to drive in the snow. Even though she grew up in Fern Falls, which is in like the mountains. Like, we're still in California. Just for reference, geography wise, we're still in California, but we're in the mountains of California.
Okay.
So she loses, like, she like hits a patch of ice or whatever, and runs into the sign of the Christmas tree farm. That is Rachel Reed's family Christmas tree farm.
The fucking Christmas tree farm. Fucking kills me.
And so then like she gets out of her car to go up and like talk to somebody to be like, hey, I fucked up your sign. Let me pay you. And falls flat on her face in some mud. And who should appear but, of course, Rachel.
Of course.
And there's like this whole like, so basically they had like they were best friends as kids. And then they kind of like, just as they confessed their feelings for each other and like kissed for the first time, other things kind of imploded in Morgan's life that basically resulted in like a falling out between her and Rachel, because she was like so in her head about these other things that like her and Rachel like had a falling out. So then she immediately left. Like as soon as she was 18, she just like left Fern Falls. And this is like the first time that she's been back, I think. So she, as they're like kind of having this standoff or whatever, Ben, is his name Ben? I want to say Ben, but I really feel like that's wrong, actually. Hold on.
Is he the character from the next book?
Yeah, he's the main character in the second one.
No, I don't
know. Hold on.
Do we not own the book?
No.
Oh, well.
We don't own that one. It's okay, though.
I can't help you
Hold
out.
on.
I also didn't read the book, so.
Hold on.
I super can't help you out. I can't help you.
I said hold on. It is Ben. All right, his name is Ben.
Why do you think it wasn't?
I don't know. I just felt like Ben was such a, like, basic name that I was like, it's not Ben, but also their names are Morgan and Rachel, so, like...
Yeah, so...
I guess, you know.
Come on.
Fair. What? Hi, Kameko. But so he appears, right? He shows up, and he was their other, like, best friend from childhood. And he's like, oh, you know, I'll, like, give you a ride, because her car is also super messed up from running into a sign. So he's like, oh, I'll, like, give you a ride to, like, where you're staying. And, anyway, we find out that Ben is the owner of the cafe that emailed Morgan. And, he wants to hire her to plan a fundraiser for the Reed Tree Farm because they are like bankrupt and about to be like, their pretty much only option at this point is to be bought out by oh my gosh, what is the corporation's name? It's been a minute since I've read this book. But anyway, there's a corporation that basically took over like a neighboring town and turned it into like a ski resort and like sucked all of the character out of it and like yada yada.
Big corpse do.
And so the Reed Tree Farm is going to that's okay, so like that's the point. This is very like, it's a very Hallmark-esque movie, or it's a very Hallmark-esque book that is essentially like big city event planner goes back home to small town to help her childhood crush save her family's Christmas tree farm.
So fucking funny, bro.
So, and so, like, Ben didn't tell Rachel that this was his plan, and he was super vague about it to Morgan, because he's, like, trying to, like, you know, move in the shadows and stuff. So, we find out over the course of the book that basically, when they were kids, Morgan's mom died when she was very young. And her dad, when she was a teenager, started dating this woman who is the daughter of the CEO of the big corporation
Of course.
that like took over the neighboring town or whatever. And at Morgan's, which I have issues with this. So at Morgan's graduation party, he proposed to his girlfriend in front of the whole town.
No.
And she turned him down.
As she should.
And I have some disconnects here because, like, why are you proposing to your girlfriend at your daughter's graduation party? Like, I don't listen. There's no reason for you to propose to someone at an event for someone else. Right?
No, yeah.
Like those stories of like people proposing at other people's weddings, or like, or even further than that, like announcing like your pregnancy at someone's like engagement party or something, right? Like, there's no reason. It's not about you, and it doesn't need to be about you. You can just sit in that.
No.
I would also throw hands. That is fighting words. Like, you are wanting a fight. You're asking for a fight.
Yeah.
But so she turned him down, and
Again, as she said.
Morgan, in her trauma brain existence, was like, oh, she said no to him because I'm not good enough for her. Like, we're not good enough for her. Right? Like, me and my dad are not, like, enough for her. Like, enough of a family for her, whatever. And then her dad was, like, super depressed after this, right? Because he proposed to someone that he loved, and she said no and, like, ran away. And so he kind of, like, withdrew. And so then Morgan was like, oh, I'm also not enough of a family for my dad.
Okay.
Like, we were fine before, but now I'm not enough for him. He needs, like, you know, a partner. So she gets all in her feelings about it and is upset. And Rachel at one point comes to check on her, and Morgan says something to the effect of, like, if I'm not enough for, you know, the people in this town, then how am I going to be enough for people who actually matter? And Rachel's like, what the fuck?
Huh?
Like, you're gonna, what? And then Morgan tries to be like, oh, like, you just don't understand. Your life and your family's so perfect and yada, yada, yada. And Rachel's like, all right, we're done. Like, no. And, like, leaves. And then, like, won't listen to Morgan when she comes to try to, like, apologize. Because she's like, I don't know. So that's what, like, led to this falling out. And then they haven't spoken since then. So then what we also find out is that Rachel's life, spoiler alert, was not perfect. And her dad is an alcoholic. And her dad and her mom were, like, constantly fighting at this point in time. And so, like, Rachel's like, listen, I'm done. Like, I'm not here for this BS. Like, I'm not about it. But anyway, so they do kind of, like, rekindle this relationship, and they get back together, and you find out that not only is this corporation, specifically the woman that the dad was dating, trying to buy the tree farm, they're also trying to buy the inn in the town, which they're like close together. So like if they bought both of them, they would have like a good bit of land in this town.
Mm-hmm.
And the inn is run by this like really kind old couple who's like so sweet, and literally like the one of the first things that we see is her like letting a family stay a couple extra nights for free, cuz like they had originally booked out like a whole week or whatever, and then like before that stay was supposed to be over, the mom comes down to like check out, and the old lady is like, "Oh, like I thought you guys were staying until Sunday." And she was like, "Yeah, but like we went out and did a couple things, and like it's just not in the budget." And this lady is like, "It's fun, like you're good, just stay, like, you know, it's on the house. It think of it as just like a holiday promotion." Um and like her husband, I guess every year likes to dress up as Santa and like read Christmas stories to the kids at the hotel. And
Yeah.
so, and she's like, you know, he loves the audience, so like the more the better. So like you guys should just stay. And like does not charge them like anything.
They're bullying old people. I can't believe. I mean, I can, but
So I mean, it's big corporations, of course they're bullying old people.
old people.
But so Morgan ends up organizing this like really big fundraiser. Um and they they like set it up so it's like they are just short of their goal or whatever, like the amount that they need to save both the inn and the Christmas tree farm and the inn. And then the lady, the dad's ex-girlfriend, has like a change of heart and like donates the last little bit that they need so that they like have enough money. It's all very cute. But then the Morgan's boss calls her and is like, "Hey, you know, we saw like, you know, what you did. Everything looks great. It's amazing. Um I'm absolutely gonna give you this promotion to run the new office that we're setting up for this event planning company in New York." Um and at this point Morgan's like really torn because she's like, this is like what I've been dreaming of, like going to New York and like running part of this company, but also now I'm in love with Rachel again and I don't know that I can just like leave her. And then Rachel finds out that Morgan has known that this promotion was a possibility since the beginning and is upset that like that wasn't discussed, that they had actually discussed like, you know, going back and forth between Los Angeles and like until they can find something more permanent and like, you know, whatever. And so she's like upset, and then Morgan ends up going back to the big city. And helps plan she helps plan this event like last minute that's apparently for an influencer um who's doing like a sponsorship event or whatever, and it's very like superficial, like she's only about like what things look like, she doesn't actually care and any of that like stuff. And so Morgan has this moment of like, oh, there's no personality, there's no care, it's all just like soulless. And then Morgan's boss is like, hey, come to my family's Christmas party. Like, come over, we're gonna have a Christmas party. And then we always go and like look at lights and stuff. And so she goes, and like her boss has this like, it's like her boss and and the boss's sister, and then the sister's husband have like these like holiday traditions, because I guess the husband is Jewish, and they've always celebrated Christmas, so they do like, they kind of just took their favorite things from both traditions and they do both of them. And so then like it's like this big cozy like family celebration, and so then Morgan's like, oh, like I need to like be with my family basically, and so she goes back to her house to like pack up her stuff to go to Fern Falls, and her dad is there, who up until this point, like all of the interactions with her dad have been very like, I don't know, there's this like tension there. And her dad is basically like, you know, like I couldn't just like stay there by myself, and like I couldn't like let you like be by yourself on Christmas, so I came down here to spend it with you. And she's like, okay, but like what if we go back to Fern Falls? So they drive back up to Fern Falls, and she finds out that, so she like goes and like talks to her, or she like, they go home and they wake up Christmas morning, and her dad gives her a gift that is from her mom that he's like been holding on to, and it's like this letter that like, you know, is like this big heart to heart whatever, and also left her like a ton of money, like a lot of money. So she decides to buy the inn, because even though like the old lady like loves the inn and she's super nice and sweet and everything, she's like, I'm old and I want to be done working. Which like, you know, I feel that, babes.
Babes, I feel you.
So Morgan buys the inn, and then she gets Ben and some other side characters to help her apologize to Rachel. And like she's like not sure if Rachel is gonna like forgive her or whatever, as she's like standing there, and Rachel has like a cover over where the sign was. And so then it like reminds Morgan, she's like, you have to let me pay for this sign because I ruined it. And Rachel's like, I already fixed the sign, and like pulls the sheet off, and it's like R&R, like basically like event like space, right? And Morgan, for whatever reason, so Rachel has a brother. So Morgan, for whatever reason, assumes that R&R is like Rachel and her brother. And she's like, oh, I'm so happy for you guys. And Rachel's like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Like, both of us, whatever. And she's like, no, like, Ross and Reed, because it's Morgan Ross and Rachel Reed. So it's like Ross and Reed's like tree farm and like event space. And so then they end up, so then there's an epilogue where they get married. It's all very cute. There was a lot of stuff I left out, as I usually do in these. I'm just kind of hitting the main points and the things that really like stuck out to me. There are also, like I said, this book does have some spice, so there are just like sex scenes that like don't really serve a purpose at all.
Oh, I mean, yeah, okay, but like how many sex scenes?
So there's one, I would say like 3,
Oh, okay.
and one of them is like solo. It's like before they get together,
Okay.
and it's just Morgan like fantasizing.
I see.
um
Okay.
but yeah, so but as I'm reading this book, there, as you know, literally like you said, like, is this a Hallmark movie? Like, that is, as I'm reading this book, all I'm thinking about is like all of the Hallmark movie kind of tropes that I'm seeing throughout it. Um, and so like you have like the small town, which is, I think, very like, it's always very like idyllic and romanticized, and it's like everybody knows each other and they're always helping each other out with anything. And like, I think the thing that really gets to me whenever I'm like, okay, yeah, that sounds great, but also, what about the fact that everybody is in everybody else's business all the time? Like, I don't need everyone knowing my business constantly.
That's where I'm.
And then there's like the big city, right? And that's always like, it's always portrayed as just like very like bustling and fast paced, and like a lot of times the characters are very like insular,
It's New
and
York.
like they're very much just concerned about like their own lives and their own stuff. um and a lot of times we do also see this kind of like, I think there's very much this link, right, between the big city and this like corporate like greed and like soullessness. um
Getting a
so
little Brennan Lee Mulligan.
listen. So then the other thing is that I feel like they're the character tropes, right? They're very like common character archetypes that exist within these stories. So the main character is usually a very like work-oriented woman who moved to the big city as soon as they were an adult. And for whatever reason, this story starts off with them ending up back in their hometown. Um, but again, usually it's like they have like a like they're very high powered. They have a job that's like a lot of like, they make a lot of money. They're very like, you know, stereotypically like put together, all this stuff. And then like something happens that their life just kind of falls apart in the city. And so then they end up going back to their hometown. And in the hometown, there's also usually, sorry, what?
Because living in a city sucks.
I mean, I would agree, but I also think that living in a very small town would suck as well. Like, I feel like there needs to be a balance.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But so in the small town, there's usually 2 characters that we can find, which one is their best friend, which usually is like, again, this is like their hometown, so it's usually their best friend from childhood, who's like maybe a little weird, or like funny or like sassy or whatever. In the case of this book, it is a gay man, who has also been in love with their like Rachel's sister or Rachel's brother since childhood. That's what the sequel book is about. And then there's the love interest, who a lot of times is like this kind of like missed chance from their childhood. And they or their family often own a struggling small business. In a lot of Christmas ones, it is in fact a tree farm. Just saying.
It's a tree farm.
It's usually a tree farm. Or a bakery. Or a toy store. Something that can be inextricably linked to Christmas, really.
Yeah, because Christmas Inheritance was like a toy making
Yes.
thing, right? Right.
Well, yeah, they owned a toy company.
Yeah.
They're like her dad started a toy company with his friend, and then like she's like gonna be taking over the toy company, but they have to teach her what the true meaning of Christmas and the reason that they really make these toys by sending her to this small town to get stuck in an
Oh yeah.
inn
With no money.
with no money.
Yeah.
Um,
It's. Anyways, keep telling me
it
about
is
this
a
one.
great movie for anyone
It is a great
interested.
movie.
Christmas Inheritance, fantastic movie.
Fantastic movie.
So then our other main character archetype is the corporate villain. And this can either be a specific person or a whole company. And in this book it's both, and I love that. Um but they're, greedy. Uh they're very like they're very like cookie cutter, right? There's no like soul or character to the things that they are putting out into the world. And they are usually like a looming threat, specifically for the struggling small business or to the town at large. Um, and so, like I said, in this book, there is like the whole corporation that they want to build. They want to buy the tree farm and the inn, and they want to build an outlet mall there. Um, and then like it is the CEO's daughter that is kind of the face of that. And she has this whole character arc in the book of like her realizing that like she's just been doing these things to try to get her father's approval and she's never going to get it. And so she's going to start doing things for herself and not just her dad. Which again, very cute. Like she ends up donating the last of the money that they need. It's great. So then we have the conflict. Like I said, a lot of times there is this like missed opportunity with like the main character and the love interest within childhood. Like they were together for a little bit and had a falling out, or like they always had a crush on each other but never got up the nerve to say anything. Or, something happened with the family of the main character. And that's kind of why they left the small town in the first place. And so there's usually a series of confrontations that the main character has to have with different people within this town that have like a very set idea of who the main character is from their childhood. I think that would be my other issue with a really small town, right? If I'm around a bunch of people that knew me since I was born, and they all still see me the way I was when I was 17,
yeah,
I would have a problem with that because I don't like who I was when I was 17. Yeah, I have in fact grown and become a much better person.
It's like I am not 17. Just
and then of course we have the conflict of like the corporation threatening the small town, small business, whatever. And it was this that kind of made me like, it got me thinking that I feel like one of the like we all like to rag on Hallmark movies, right? Like we all like to joke about how they're all the same, or like they're all these tropes, whatever, and they're silly and like campy and whatever. But also, Hallmark movies are exceedingly anti-corporation.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. It's also very funny because Hallmark itself is a decently large like, corporation that is part of like a conglomerate. So it's very funny to me. It's kind of like when Glee was airing on a Fox owned TV channel. And there was like a lot of like Fox News stuff about how Glee was like ruining children or whatever and like corrupting youth. But also like that company owns them.
Yeah, like that's so funny. I was not aware of that. That's so fucking funny, though.
But yeah, so it's so interesting to me that I think like a lot of times, you know, I think we laugh about the like, oh, the struggling family tree farm so much that we miss the like anti, you know, greed and anti corporation like messaging of a lot of these movies.
Hmm.
Um that are very much there, right? Like there is always this like corporation that's trying to buy out a smaller business and turn it into like a, you know, like cookie cutter uh like coffee, like a Starbucks, you know, like it's very like
Hmm.
um and I don't know as I was reading it, you know, like you mentioned earlier, like the like Brennan monologue, you know, like as I'm reading this book, it very much is in my head, right, of like just just Brennan like going off on a tangent about the horrors of capitalism and like um
anytime that something gets brought up that's anti-capitalist, that's all I hear. I just hear him in the back of my head. It's just there's nothing else.
yeah. But another interesting thing though is like cuz we were talking about this with Haywire the other week that like it's not so much anti-capitalist, right? Because there are still like there is the small business. There is like, you know, a
Mm.
lot of like businesses within the community, but it's very like I think it's very anti late stage capitalism.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like the
Mm.
big corporations own everything and, you know, no one cares about anyone else or helps anyone else out. Like everything is transactional, everything is about the money. And Hallmark movies say, no, no, no. Small businesses are important. And like, we don't want everything to be about money. Like, we want to live in our small town with our nice, happy people, like, whatever. Um,
Mm.
and so like it is very interesting, like that kind of distinction too. Um, that like, and it got me thinking also like with the way that like, because we try very hard to be conscientious consumers, right? Like we,
Yeah.
you know, like to shop at our farmers market and like go and shop at like small businesses and locally owned bookstores and like, you know, promote like those kind of things. And I think it's like, it's one of those things where like I recognize that because of the society we live in, like they're all kind of bad choices, right?
Yeah. Mm.
And yeah, I do still order things on Amazon. And yeah, I do still like shop at Walmart sometimes because that's the cheapest place for me to shop. And, you
That's
know,
the only
things are
place we can get our dog
expensive.
food.
This is the only place that makes the dog food that doesn't make our dog break out in hives because he's allergic to chicken.
Everything. There's words for everything.
Um, but like I do still think that there is, you know, in my head there definitely is a difference between like buying books on Amazon and buying books at our local bookstore.
Mm-hmm.
And like yes, when you buy newer books, that money still goes like money still goes to the publishers and like the like, you know, kind of like corporations part of like producing a book, but like I don't know, it just like I feel like if you're buying books off Amazon, it's very like your money's going to Amazon.
Yeah. It's
And
like
like
there is no ethical consumption under capitalism, but there are like, your choices, right? So like
yeah, there
it's
are
like I fully understand what?
I was gonna say there are slightly better options.
Yeah, like, are they like out of your way or you have to like leave your house and it's not as easy access, but it is like but you can make that other choice and yeah, it's not going to make, at least for me and to each their own to like what they want to do, but for me I'm like I'd prefer doing that like and even though I fully understand that like in the grand scheme of things I'm not the one at like fault here.
Yeah.
I'm still like, yeah, but I'd much rather
I think also like
much rather do
I
that.
think as um
Oh boy.
I
Pretty
think
much.
also like I think as neurodivergent people, like it has been shown in like studies that autistic and ADHD people have a stronger sense of justice.
Me.
And I think that like as neurodivergent people, we have this thing where we're like, okay, yes, it's all a bad choice, but like I will feel less guilty about choosing the lesser of two evils.
Mm,
Right? Like
yeah. Yeah.
like yes, you know, like you said there is no ethical consumption under capitalism, but like when I buy vegetables from the farmers market, I know that that's local produce. I know that
Yeah.
it didn't create as much um emission like emissions to get that produce to me as it would if I were to buy like from, you know, somewhere else that they had to ship the produce in. I know that like I'm supporting the the farmers and the workers in my community. I know that like, you know, I know, and because it's a farmers market, like I'm meeting the people that are responsible for producing this
Yeah.
stuff.
Also community like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this sense of community. And I think that's another thing that like the whole small town like thing, and I think with the small town there is this kind of like stronger sense of it, but you can get that in like medium-sized towns and like, you know,
Yeah.
technically like small cities, like that kind of thing. And even big cities where you have this like community that you build and like you support each other and help each other out, and like that is like one of my favorite things about going to the farmers market is that you
Yeah.
do feel this sense of community. Like I know
I love
and have like and like we have gone there enough times that like a lot of the people at the booths that we frequent recognize us.
that.
Hi Emu. Um and like at first it definitely like kind of freaked me out. I was like, "Oh no, why do you recognize me? That's weird. I don't like that." But then after a while, I was like, "No, this is nice. Like I see these people every Saturday. Like I talk to them, you know, like um and it's this nice like sense of community, and like everyone that's there, like not even just the vendors, but like the people that are there shopping. I feel like, you know, we always run into someone that like will compliment, you know, something that one of us is wearing, or will compliment something that someone's wearing, or like, you know, so many people bring their dogs and like people will just like,
Oh,
you know, let
dogs.
you pet
Yes.
their dog or like give you like treats to give to their dog. Um and like I don't, it's just it's so nice and like
Honestly, it's so wholesome. If y'all ever want to have just like a moment of
yes, it's
community and
whole
not
it
have to put in any of
yes,
a farmer's market, find a farmer's market near you.
absolutely. There, and
Yes.
it's great
Also,
because they have, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, can we pause for a second? I need to get a decongestion.
Yeah, I
It's
got you.
getting to
We'll
my
be right back, guys.
head.
Okay, we're back. Someone is sickies. So, you know.
Yeah, it's me.
But yeah, so I feel like like I said, like I think a small town, like the whole like small town vibe of like a truly small town where there's like one school and like, you know, one like singular, you know, coffee shop. Um it's not for me. Right? I don't need everyone knowing my business all the time. I don't need people who've known me since I was born to like be like having the exact same opinion of me as a full adult. But I think that like the small town is so popular within Hallmark movies and like media like that because it does evoke this like sense of community that I think a lot of people have a hard time finding and building in, you know, bigger cities or towns or whatever, like, and I'm so happy that we have been able to find um the like community that we have, um not just like in person, like, you know, like we talked about our farmers market and that sense of community, which I absolutely love, but like even, you know, our online community, I feel like we're building this community within Mythos that like I'm so happy to be a part of, and like I love that we have that. um and so I think that's why like the idea of the small town is so like romanticized and like featured, so heavily featured. um but yeah, overall I would say I enjoyed this book. I would give it 4 out of 5 stars. um it was cute and fluffy,
You know,
a little spicy. Yeah.
okay, listen. I I don't I don't like this review thing.
Yeah, I don't either. It needs to change.
Okay,
I
I'm
did
so
it.
glad because
I like did
I
it
was like,
because
what
like
is this
so
star?
so Google Slides has like a book report template that I just grabbed and like
Mm-hmm.
filled in. And this is the
Yeah.
review slide that it had. And like after I did it, like right before I started the stream, and then I looked at it and I was like, I don't like this.
Yeah, no, I don't.
It's got to
Yeah,
be
no.
like the number of stars that it's rated filled in white.
Yes. I was like, why is there
I
just
don't, yeah,
one red?
I don't like it. We're gonna change that. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Um,
Okay, okay.
but
I'm
yeah,
so
I
glad.
did enjoy reading this. There is a sequel. It's called In the Case of Heartbreak, and the sequel follows Ben and Rachel's brother and their kind of getting together story. That one is a little heavier because Ben is as a child his father was like very abusive in the like neglectful sense, and like uh it his father is like a narcissistic personality, and like so it's a lot heavier, but it's still really cute. Ben's grandma is the best. I love her, and she is who I aspire to be as an old lady. um
Is that gonna be our next book?
no, I think our next book is probably gonna be, I'm between Can't Spell Treason Without T and Whale Rider.
Okay.
Whale Rider, if anyone has read this book before, I like please tell me. I read this book in 4th grade. And it is a like it's the story of like a Polynesian um little girl who like um becomes the whale rider. Like it's one of those books that is fairly realistic but has just this little like bit of fantasy about it. Um and I believe that that one is rooted within like actual Polynesian mythology, which as we all know, love that kind of story. But I read it in 4th grade and I absolutely loved it. And I've been trying to find it since then. And actually found it at one of our local bookstores this past Saturday when they had the book crawl. And was so excited that, of course, I bought it. So I'm between that and then Can't Spell Treason Without Tea, which is a like cozy fantasy book that's also very cute. But I'm kind of thinking I might want to wait on that one because it is the first of a 4-book series. I feel like I should just finish the series before I do anything on it. But if anyone has any thoughts or suggestions for books, please let me know. If you're not a part of Mythos Discord, please join. The link is in the about below. And yeah, I'm, totally open to hearing book suggestions, thoughts on any books that I do talk about. If you've read them, I'd love to hear your opinions. But yeah, I think next week will probably be Whale Rider. Actually, no, that's a lie. Next week will be a special something. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It'll be a special something.
I'm not worried.
Okay? But the next book club where we actually talk about a book will likely be about Whale Rider.
Okay.
Because I do have to reread it. Like I said, I haven't read it since 4th grade. So I remember the gist of it, but not like the actual details.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me. Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Do you have cough drops?
No.
Okay, I will get you some. Thank you so much for joining. Please, if you're not already a part of the Discord, go ahead and join that. We have some exciting stuff happening in May. And I will probably be streaming again Sunday. I haven't decided what game I'm going to play yet because Sundays are my like new game days. So we'll see what I decide. But yeah, thank you guys for joining, and make sure to keep an eye out for other streams coming up in the Mythos community. Bye!
Bye!